The third and final Worldeater Strike is here, and today I want to go through how I did in this event, drive the level 55 target in the very quick way that I have been doing it, talk about what you should get, including the new specials if those are worth it, and by how much certain stats change. Spoiler alert, you should be getting those, so I will show you the updated builds for these ones, and give my advice on what you should prioritize between now and the raid next week. I will also talk about a few other items, and if you want to use the scroll bar down below to jump to what is most relevant to you, totally go for that one. Let's start out with how I did in this particular event. I have completed a total of, I believe, 29 different level 54 targets, all of these on auto for about 45 minutes to 1 hour repair, using my Worldeater fleet, and I'll of course show you the build for that one, as well as what I'm changing it to. I'm actually going to drive the level 55 target, which I can auto for about 3 hours repair, which is absolutely insane and way too high to be doing, or bull rush it for much less than that one. So let's check how repaired my fleet is before we get into it, and that is 4 hours and 15 minutes of repair. Here's the current build I'm using. It's nothing crazy, it's what I've shown before. I'm actually still missing a bunch of heavy armors and even a regular armor on the flagship, so I definitely need to get that fixed. But let's start out the level 55 strike target and see what kind of results we can get on this one. And once the battle starts here, thanks Kixeye, we'll go ahead and get started. Now I am just basically bull rushing this one. I'm going to do this very quickly, so watch the timer on the top right. It will start at 15 minutes, and let's see what I can get down to. I don't really care about minimizing damage, I care about getting this target done quickly, because 4 hours and 15 minutes to start, well, we're not actually going to take too much damage, and I have more fleet health this particular event than I do time or willingness to drive. So I start out by taking out the red building here that shrouds stuff off the top, then grab 3 of these Inquisitors, jump down to the range penetrating turret right here, shoot at him a few times. I will chain off to the right side, take out all 3 of those targets, so you don't need to worry about that one. Then I will get in range of a few different turrets here, chain and take down that one, jump over to the Inquisitors, grab 1 or 2 of those, and then keep moving away from these. Do my best to outrange this corrosive turret right here, shoot at a few different things at once. I'm definitely taking damage right now because I'm in range of 2 penetrative turrets at the same time, but because I have mostly X1 and 1 ship at Cap 1, I don't really care, and I take down most of these pretty quickly. Chain onto a few turrets on the center island, and then grab the corrosive turret. Actually got in range of that one, which shows you how much attention I've been paying to my driving recently. Grab the ship right there and continue around the outside of the target. I did learn something new. It's that you can actually outrange these death scythe missile turrets, which I didn't think you could. Seems kind of like a lazy game designer thing to allow that to happen. But you can come right close to that one and chain out the entire island, get close to these 4 Inquisitors, shoot at them a few times, and then run up towards the top of the target. Grab just the missile turret right here when he finishes getting above water, and you shouldn't get shot up by anything else on that platform, and then loop down towards the missile turret on the center. If you can stop far enough back, you won't actually get hit by the UAV turret, but again, I don't really care about that. You can see that none of the UAVs got through that time, so even though I'm driving pretty poorly, my 2 Gale ships are doing a great job here, preventing too much damage. There's the corrosive turret, let's loop towards that guy, and then 1 more death scythe turret to take out, and we can actually again outrange this one, which is something I learned in this particular video that I did not actually know before that. Take out a few things there, and then the last thing I'm going to engage is the penetrative turret with a range right here. You should be able to stop far enough away you don't get hit by anything else, but if you don't, or need to just charge forward to take down this last guy, that's not the end of the world, and we are at 2 minutes, just about 2 minutes and 20 seconds to complete the target, which works out great in my book. So, no complaints there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results and check, let's say, 4 hours and 15 minutes. What did we turn into that time? Mostly corrosive damage, a little bit of penetrative, definitely could drive better and avoid a lot of that, but that's not the name of the game for me here. And that is 25 minutes of repair, just straight up bull rushing this target, not caring about it, and going through as quickly as possible. And of course I showed you the build before we went into the target. And that makes 72k total points for me here, with 14 total sets complete, and a bunch other autoed. So that's the level 55. Overall, I have no major complaints about this particular strike series. The level 54 can be autoed totally fine in terms of results. I am aware that the fleet has some really weird pathing going on, but I don't really care about that too much because I can complete the target for reasonable repair. And obviously, this being strike, no half repair, I can stack up 12 targets and then log off, repair for 12 hours, come back on. Level 55, I did wish I could auto, but that's probably just me being picky, since I can drive it really not paying too much attention, just bull rushing this thing for 25 minutes. I'm sure I could actually get 0 repair or something if I drove really, really well, and a few of you will likely tell me that in the comments down below. I don't have any major complaints about the raid series. Now that we're finished with a level 55 target, let's go ahead and look at what to get and these specials you're going to want to redeem. Starting out with the new specials, I do actually want to go into a comparison mode here. So let's take a look at the Skull Clasp, which I definitely called something else the first time I read it, UAV targeting system. This is limited, and I would highly recommend not wasting your points and only picking up the number that you need on your actual ships. So I only have 3 damage ships. I'm only going to pick up 3 specials unless you have a ton of extra points or something, or think that this might be useful for a future tier 14 and a half assault ship, etc., which it definitely might be. So taking a look at this one, this compares pretty closely to the Buckeye UAV targeting system, which is also limited. I have a bunch extra of these because I completed the TLC for those ones a few times. And as you can see, the only major difference is that the Skull Clasp UAV targeting system has 155% penetrative damage compared to the old at 150. So you're literally just increasing your damage by 5%. Basically not worth it if you are short on points. So if you're a player catching up and you have the old one, use the old one, don't waste your points on the new one. But if you are a top level PvE player and get everything every event, then of course this one is worth it because it is better. So overall, get this one only for the number of damage ships you have. Yes, your other 2 countermeasure ships do a little bit of damage, but they're not really worth the upgrade because you have most of your specials converted to UAV, anti-UAV gales, etc., even though you have 1 or 2 weapons still on that one. Okay, taking a look now at the Hierophant special. This is the denial system is what I'm going to call this one. This is a countermeasure special and will likely be used on several different Dreadnought ships going forward because it is limited to the Dreadnought class, and this is an unlimited special, which is pretty nice. This compares to countermeasure specials such as the Mirror Maze defense system, or probably the Gala as well. I don't think there's any differentiating features other than the Gala being limited for the particular use case in these particular garrison-style Hierophant targets. Now the differences you're seeing here is that the new one has a penetrative reload of 50% over 40%. Which is definitely better, but it's not a substantial increase, and you don't want to waste points on this one. If you already have the Gala will work totally fine, and you don't really need to go to be too picky about that one. The other difference is that we go from 10k splash damage reduction up to 20k splash damage reduction, and you might think, whoa, that's amazing, you're doubling your splash damage reduction. Well, I have bad news for you, and that is that this stat does basically nothing. The way splash damage reduction currently works is that you can treat it just like survival. So if you had 100k survival and you have 10k splash damage reduction, you now have 110k survival against only splash weapons. Very briefly, the way that this math actually works, and I'll show you a spreadsheet here for just one moment, is that if you had a Dreadnought with 1.54 million survival, which is what my Hierophant currently has at E9, as I put on another officer and get up to E10, this will likely increase even further. If I go from 1.54 million survival to 1.55 million, I take less than 1% less damage. It's actually 0.64% less damage by going from 1.54 to 1.55 million survival, which is basically nothing. So because you already have an absolute ton of survival on here, that 10k splash damage reduction does basically nothing, and you're only getting this thing for the penetrative reload bonus. You can totally ignore that bottom stat entirely. It means nothing in today's game when you have a ton of survival on your Hierophant. Now, the only difference to that would be if you had like an E0 ship or something. You wouldn't actually have 1.5 million survival and would therefore benefit a tiny amount more, but we're really splitting hairs with this one. It's not a bad special, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as crazy as it seems, and whatever game designer made this may not totally realize that this doesn't really work the way they think it does. So those are the new specials, and that's the what to get from this one in terms of the new items. I will show the build for that one in a moment, but I do want to mention a few other things you're going to want to make sure you redeem. Now, the nice to have is the Ritual Missile Launcher Reinforcement Chest. I got 15 of these, so let's actually go ahead and open that up and see what I got. As a reminder, if you have more, there's a cap for these different items. I believe it's 20 for the weapons, and if you already have, let's say, 20 different of the uncommons, maybe it's 40, whatever, already have 40 of those ones, 40 of the 1-star ones, you can't get any more, and therefore every 2-star one you open up, or every next chest you open up, can only contain 2-star and better. So I've already redeemed a few of these ones, so my results will be pretty good, although not quite as good as everyone else's. Taking a look at this one, I did get 10 uncommons, which probably means I have not opened a lot of these before, actually. 2 epics, 4 rares, and then 1 legendary one. So this is not a fantastic drop rate for me, and again, if I had opened chests every other time, I think I actually missed these the first time they were in Strike, and I just had the regular blueprint specials, the common ones, on my Hierophant. If I had opened more of those, my drop rates would be better. We might see some changes and improvements with the Fusion Factory as we get there, so just keep that in mind. Jumping back to the prizes, the other things you're going to want to get, and at least for me, do not include the armor upgrades for the Hierophant, because I'm running all evade armor on those ones. I've discussed this at length previously. If you want to search on the Forsaken Council Facebook group, you should find a few posts about that one that I did some thoughts on, and basically, when you already have 1.5 million survival, evade works out to be better than the standard bits. Other stuff you're going to want to make sure you redeem includes the 2-day structure build tokens if you are not at capacity. We are expecting the next outpost upgrade to come out this month in March, so just watch out for that one. Nothing else too crazy. There are some Worldeater capital cores if you miss those, as well as the flagship capital cores. I'm all maxed out on those ones, so I actually don't need to redeem those ones because I got them in the raid. There are some Hierophant evolution tokens, but if I take a look at my Hierophant, it's at E9, and the E9 to E10 upgrade is just about 4 days, 8 hours here. So taking a look at my upgrades time at the very bottom, and costs 200 fragments. I have 8 days of tokens available, which means that the time I spent going from E8 to E9 I basically just wasted and should have been upgrading Worldeaters there instead, but I only have 175 fragments, which means I need to redeem 25 more fragments. Now, unfortunately for me, I actually can't redeem fragments in quantities of 25 and have to redeem them in quantities of 100. Why this is the case, I don't know. I think it's probably lazy on whoever runs the prize store, because we have the multi-redeem feature here. I could, redeem them in quantities of 1 or 5 or 10 or whatever, and just put in the amount I needed. But because I need 25 and I can only redeem them in batches of 100, I have to spend 10k points here. Obviously, it doesn't matter for me since I have the extra points, but if this does matter for you, take a look in the Forsaken mission. You can actually get fragments in quantities of 10 here by, again, using the Hierophant in some of these targets as well as a few other items. So make sure you take a look at this one first in the Forsaken mission if you are low on points. And that's basically everything that I'm going to recommend getting in Strike. There are some other generic, pretty old, obsolete stuff in there. Taking a look again at tokens, you're going to see that there is nothing for the Worldeaters, because for some reason we don't want to, give players the ability to spend points and catch up on those. I guess the exclusion is that there are build tokens if you do want to refit some of the stuff on here and don't have extra build tokens from the TLC for these items. So that is a possibility here, and also upgrade kits, etc. for the world leaders, but I am all maxed out on those ones, like most of you likely are. So again, no upgrade tokens for the world leaders. Those will be out in the raid, so pay attention to those ones if you are not at cap 1 when the raid does come out here. So that is the, what to get here in terms of Strike for generally caught up players. If you are a brand new player, the number one thing that you can try to do is in the raid next week, get the new ship and start building blanks of it instantly. And I'll talk more about that in the raid video. Now that we have seen the, what to get in terms of prices, let's go ahead and go over the build changes for these new different ships. So first of all, let's go over the Hierophant, and you will actually want to pay attention to the ritual missile, to the heavy. I believe that's the revitalization heavy missile launcher. If you don't have extra of these, you can check in your intel lab. You're going to want to get some of these from the, if you don't have an extra one to put on for the E10, you want to get this one from Strike. Now, taking a look at my particular ship, I don't have this last slot unlocked yet, so I'm actually going to go ahead and upgrade to that one now with my, upgrade or surplus amount of kits that I have now. I don't know why it says kits. It probably should say fragments. By the way, if you don't have this display or your ship is currently upgrading, send in a ticket and just copy and paste the ticket response in until you get through the AI. And Kixeye themselves can go ahead and check on your upgrade kits how many you have if you can't see this particular number. So let's go ahead and upgrade this guy and then speed it up with my tokens. Again, I have 8 of these things, which means that I, am going to have extras that are not usable, and I should have spent the time upgrading the world leaders instead of the Hierophant. We have 8 hours, and I can have a 1-day token on this one, so hey, that's all done. Now, taking a look at this ship, let's go ahead and go over the build updates. It's going to be adding the heavy missile launcher to this one, of course, taking my D5E armor and adding more of those throughout the build. If you're wondering why I'm not using D5EV, it's because the D5EV has added repair time, and I'm intending to auto every target with these ones, which means that the combat speed basically doesn't help at all. In terms of the weapons, I'm going to keep all the Gales on as they are. I do have a few ritual missile launchers on here. The fact that they're called a missile launcher is kind of ridiculous because they're not a launcher. But I'm going to actually put on as many legendary missiles as I possibly can. I think I'm going to only have one I can put on there. And then we'll drop on to a few epics and put enough of those on here until we run out, which actually looks like I ran out pretty early. Some of you watching probably have all legendary stuff on here. I definitely don't have that one. And then in terms of the very final officer slot, right now I have 2 choices. It's either the survival one or the evade one. I did make a more detailed video about this one earlier in, I believe, the first Worldeater Hierophant raid what to get video, and I'm going with evade for this one because my survival is already insanely high. I do hope to get the Captain Hazred 3-star one as opposed to the 2-star one coming out here shortly. And of course, we do have the change from the Mirror Maze defense system over to the one we just spent points on, which is, I guess that is a limited, and it was a quantity of 1, which is why I didn't show that. So correction on those ones, you'll definitely want to get this one every time it's available if we do need to end up using this on future assault or garrison dreadnoughts, etc. Even skirmish ones, maybe with the countermeasure reload working for cormorants. Now this is a 1-day 6-hour upgrade, so let's see if we do have any tokens, etc. available to use for this one. We probably do, and yep, looks like we have a 1-day Hierophant build token, as well as, take a look here, a 12-hour one, although I have a 1-day one left over too, and there is my upgraded E10 Hierophant build, and I'm going to put this one to work immediately, autoing some Forsaken mission targets, because I have not yet done that this raid. In terms of the world leaders, I have to repair these guys before going and doing the refits, but it is going to be making my damage ships look like this one, except obviously changing out the Buckeye UAV targeting to the escalation special the skull clasp, the one that I just showed you in this video so far here, and then finishing out my armors on this one. I will be getting more armors in the Forsaken mission to make sure I can totally finish this one out here. But that's the changes for that. I have the flagship at cap 1 and then the one ship at cap 1, but I still have 3 here that I need to upgrade. It's generally a relatively small upgrade, at least for the normal ships, because it's just more survival and armor points, evade, reload, and then a few other just general small things here that don't matter too much. Having the cap is probably the most important one here because it has the aura that helps out across everything, which again is the most important one to upgrade. This one's missing a bunch of armor, so I have to add some on there. But there's the changes or the upgrades to the World Leaders as well as the Hierophant based on the escalation specials in this raid. And that's just about all I have for you here. The raid is 1 week away, so expect some videos coming out the first few days of those ones for at least the Worldeater targets, and expect a few of those maybe to have 4 ships if I have some of these ships going up to cap 1. I'll likely start the Gale ones first because I don't want to take out the Gales in the raid itself there. If you do have any questions or want any more tips on this particular event, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know what you think about this style of video here, going over a pretty extensive recap of this particular event. Do you think it should come out a few days earlier so you can benefit from the information, or is watching this the day it comes out when there's a few hours left as a what to get video still generally helpful, informative, exciting? Let me know. With that said, until next time, I want to give a huge thank you to the channel members whose names appear on the end screen now. They're helping make videos like this one possible. And until next time, this is Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.